and welcome to my second week of NaNoWriMo / book month. And as I said in my last video, I'm going to do a current word count of where I'm at on NaNoWriMo at the moment. And the word count is 17,148 words, which is not very good because currently I should be on about 23,000 roughly in order to be in with a chance of finishing it. And unfortunately I'm away this weekend in Birmingham, so that's going to slow me down quite a lot. I have been trying to write at work as well as just at home, but other things kind of get in the way and I get easily distracted. Even when I give myself a whole afternoon to write, I will probably not make the best use of it. But at the moment I am really enthusiastic about what I'm writing in a way. I am actually kind of enjoying what I'm writing because I can kind of have it go wherever, because that's the fun thing with NaNoWriMo. There's no sort of set, stick it to any... You can have it go where you want because at the moment you're just writing. The whole idea is to just write, not get bogged down on plot details and stuff like that, just to get the ideas out there on the page. And so far that's gone really well. But I am very much behind and I'm kind of getting to that point where I'm thinking I might not reach the 50,000. However, that doesn't mean I'm going to give up. I am going to continue. I'm going to see if I can beat last year's, because last year I said I think it was about 27,000. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can beat that. So if nothing else, I want to try and beat last year's, or the last time I did Nano's word count. Right. So what is today's video actually going to be about? I thought that because it's writing, I will actually talk about my own history with writing. Because I've been writing since I was about 13, 14, definitely a young teenager. And the way I got into it is actually probably the same as a lot of other people got into writing, and that is through fan fiction. I didn't know it was called fan fiction when I started writing it. All I knew is that I kept on coming up with ideas for some of my favourite TV shows, one of those being Star Trek Voyager, which I was very big into, because it just aired on English television. And I got really obsessed with it, and I kept having my own ideas, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if they actually happened? So outside of daydreaming, the best thing I could do was to write them down. So I thought, okay, I'm going to write them down as a story. And I started off writing them down on a typewriter. Yeah, there's the evidence as well. That is typewriter. Yep, not electronic typer, actual proper typewriter. Because of course we didn't have a computer in my house when I first started writing, so typewriter was all I had. And I wrote a couple of stories. I've still got them. I keep them in a file, in a folder. And I wrote quite a few of them on there. But then we did get a computer, and instead of upgrading to a computer, I started writing on my mum's word processor. What this was basically an electronic typewriter. That's all it was. You could save your work on a floppy disk, but that is about all you could do. The screen was about this big. You could see what you were writing, the first, like a couple of lines, and that's it. You had to scroll through it physically with just up and down and stuff like that. It was really hard to edit and write anything, which meant that when I did actually print them off, because you could print it off on this thing, you find a load of mistakes. But it did mean that it was like having a laptop to a degree, because I could put it on my lap. It was huge, it was quite big, but I could put it on my laptop, in my lap, and I could type away to my heart's content. Didn't have to worry about running out of ink, because I did print them off, but not much. So then I did upgrade finally to the computer eventually, once this thing started to get a bit slow, and it was just easier to write on the laptop. More also when my brother started going out at night instead of staying in on the computer, so I got to write in the evenings. At the first, I wrote fan fiction, and all I really wanted to do was just write. I never let anyone read it. It was my work. I was doing it for myself. But it wasn't until I got to about sixth form age, I'd have said, when I was still writing fan fiction, but I wanted to write my own stories. So like some famous writers have done, I've yet to do this, but I know some famous writers have done it, I turned my fan fiction into my own ideas, into my own original stories, which meant changing the names, changing the situations, and stuff like that. And it was a bit hard. My Buffy fan fiction, yeah, you wouldn't know it was Buffy fan fiction once I'd done with it. And I had these little short stories with these characters. But I think my first story that I actually tried writing properly, that wasn't based on any fan fiction, was just an idea I had, was about this guy who worked in the afterlife called Alan. And he didn't like his job in the afterlife, because all his job was to welcome people to the afterlife and said, welcome, you're dead, there you go, that's where you're going to spend eternity, bye. And he found that boring. And it was how he made that life more interesting, like being sent on missions from the boss. Not God, just the boss. And I loved it, and actually that story helped me get onto a creative writing degree course at university, because I was studying drama and education in my first year at university, and I was not really enjoying education at all, studying education, and I made friends with a lot of creative writing students, and it made it sound so much more fun to study creative writing than what I was doing. So I switched. And one of the things I had to do was give an example of my writing. And I gave that story to the guy in charge of the creative writing department. And it got me on the course, and I now have a degree in creative writing and drama. Not that I've done anything with it, but I have it. And since then I have worked on one epic story, like a fantasy story that I worked on from uni afterwards, and yeah, it was supposed to be my sort of epic fantasy story that never really went anywhere, and I never finished it, and I've always kind of regretted giving up on it, because I feel like I've got so much work, so many hours went into creating this story, and I've just never finished it, and a part of me has wanted to keep going back to it, to see if I can do something with it, but every time I have, I've always given up again and lost interest. It seems to be one of my problems when it comes to writing. I love writing while I'm writing it, but then when I get to that point where I'm finished and I've actually got a story and I've got to edit it, the editing part makes me lose a lot of interest. So if I don't give up on a story beforehand, I tend to give up when I'm editing. I've even got a novel sat on my laptop, practically finished, and I haven't done anything with it. And my goal was this year to actually do something with it, and I've not. And this has really made me kind of dejected when it comes to, because I haven't even done anything with it. It's not like I've tried sending it off and I've been rejected. I think a part of it is like, I enjoy writing, but I've never really thought what I'm going to do once I finish the writing. It's like growing up, when I was writing it for fanfiction, I was just doing it for my own enjoyment. I didn't let anyone read my stuff. I didn't want people to read my stuff. I was just doing it for myself. So now I'm sort of thinking, well, do I want people to read? Do I want to get it out get it published? And if not, why am I writing? Well, again, goes back to the original reason I was writing, because I enjoy it. So now I'm sort of thinking, is that all I want to do with my writing? Do I just want to write for myself, for my own enjoyment? Or do I want to do anything with it? If I have something that I'm really proud of, maybe I should. But I think that's my problem. I don't know how to get my work out there. And even when I go to seminars and stuff telling you how to do it, I never really feel like I've actually found the answer that would work. So it's a frustrating situation, and this is why I wanted to do Nano, so that I could get myself back to enjoying just writing, and see what I can do in the new year, because there's a few things I could consider. I could do something with a story, or I could go back to my old one, or I could start something new. In the new year, I'm gonna look at how well I do with this story, whether I think there's anything I can do with this, and go from there, I think. But yeah, one way or another, regardless of what gaps I've had in between, I've pretty much been writing ever since I was about 14. Probably younger than that, I genuinely can't remember. And it is genuinely one of the things I really do enjoy. So there you go, that's the history of me writing. I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I've got a few ideas what I could do, but you'll find that out next week if you want to. So, thanks for watching.